In my last video, I did a very detailed analysis of the value that each component brings to a scrap PC. We approached it from the perspective of a weighted cost analysis. It was very interesting, but there was one artifact missing, and that was these PCs coming from a government auction did not have hard drives inside of them. So that kind of skewed the numbers a little bit. I asked in that video if y'all wanted me to address this, and several of you did. So we're going to dive in and look at what the difference would be if we added in hard drives to these PCs. Come on, let's dive in. Since a lot of the computers that we get do have hard drives in them, I thought it would be interesting to repeat this exercise, but add in the weight that we would expect from some hard drives. So I have 10 mostly Western Digitals 3.5-inch SATAs, because I looked up the Optiplex 780 and they said that they came standard with 3.5-inch SATA hard drives. So I just took 10 of them that I had, and that's pretty reasonable. 10 of them, 10.68 pounds, roughly a pound, a little over a pound each. And that's pretty typical for 3.5-inch hard drives. You will recall from our last video that when we did not have hard drives included, we came up with an average cost of, in this case, $57 for 10 of them, or $5.70 per scrap computer. We were also able to use this calculation to determine that the average cost per pound would come in at 35 cents a pound. If you want to see this discussion in detail, I encourage you to go back and look at the original video. There'll be a link for it at the end of this one, so you can see how we came up with these values. We also, in that video, found out that the green motherboards accounted for a little over 37% of the value. The RAM accounted for 22% of the value, and the shred a little over 10% of the value. And then you can see what the rest of the figures were. So let's now take a look at what would happen if we had hard drives in this. So I simply copied this spreadsheet over onto another page and added in the hard drives right here. So you can see we had 10 hard drives, 10 pounds of hard drives. I just went with the 1 pound per hard drive average. And I can get 46 cents a pound at my local yard for hard drives with the boards on them. And that would give us $4.60, which would make up almost 6% of the weight, 7.2% of the value. But it also changes because now we've added into the mix the difference of, this weight from the hard drives. So a couple of things that we need to make sure we've done. We've added that 10 pounds into the total weight. You'll recall that when there were no hard drives, 10 of them weighed 161 pounds. So I added 10 pounds to the total weight for 171 pounds. And this gets really interesting now because we see that the total value of these PCs now goes up to $63.93. If we take that down to per PC, divided by 10, we get $6.30 or $6.40 per PC for these scrap PCs. So those hard drives add a number that needs to be considered. So when we look at the weight contribution from the hard drives, we see that the hard drives contributed almost 6% of the weight. But when we look at the value, we see that they are in the 7% range. Let's just go right over to the pie chart here and take a look at the pie chart. We can see that the Motherboards still make up the bulk of the value here, 33, about a third of the value of the PCs at $21.45. We see that RAM is still in second place, now making 19, almost 20%, still at $12.54. The shred is still in third place at, what is that? Shred, $8.24. Heat sinks coming in next. Oops, didn't mean to click on that. Heat sinks coming in next at $5.04, still that's 7.8%. And now the hard drives also coming in right behind the heat sinks now. So the hard drives are about 7% here, $4.60. So the hard drives have a measurable impact on the overall value of these PCs. All right, so let's go back in and recalculate our average scrap value of PC per pound. I think that's what we called it. So that is going to be relatively simple formula. When you type in the formulas, you'll see the formula up here as well as in the block. So we simply go equals this value now divided by the total weight here. And we see that the average value has now gone up to 37 cents a pound. Not a huge change, a little bit. Is it going to make any difference for you when you are bidding on PCs? Probably not, because you're going to be bidding quite a bit less than this so that you can make money. So the other question that we didn't answer in the last video, we had all the information there, I just overlooked it, but I had some questions in the comments, is what was the return on investment here? So first let's look at our time here's how many minutes we would have spent, here's what the hours were, and you'll recall that, and I'm going to go worst case scenario here, the first PC that we scrapped took us 5.05 minutes. So in hours, that's going to be this divided by 60. Let's just make that a number with 2 decimal places. So 0.08 minutes or 0.08 hours. And we need to look at the cost difference or price difference or value difference. Let's call it value difference. And I want to look at the value difference per PC. So we want to take this value minus this value divided by 10. So we're going to call that this minus this, and then we're going to divide that by 10. So we get $2.12. So we made $2.12 with each PC, and our return on investment with time considered is $2.12 divided by 0.08 hours, or $25 an hour. I'm good with making $25 an hour. That's not bad. This is very important, and there were a couple of comments that came up in the last video where I did the detailed analysis, which will be linked at the end here. And I really want to emphasize the importance of this. What I have helped you to understand is the value of this particular model. And it's a reasonable value to use or keep in the back of your head when you are going to buy PCs. If you're buying PCs at an item or unit cost, they're 5 something per unit, up to 6 something per unit. But you still need to make money on it. If you're bidding on them by weight, whether it's 35 cents a pound, 37 cents a pound, what you need to keep in mind is that's the value that you would get when you scrap and sell everything. But you still want to make money, which means you need to think about what's your labor cost associated with it. What other costs do you have associated with getting in your PCs? As you can see from this video of where I brought these PCs in, I had to lease a 26-foot box truck in addition to the purchase price of the PCs. And of course, the auction site has their fees, and then there's taxes, and you need to be thinking about those kind of things when you bid on PCs. If you bid that maximum value, whether it's 35 cents a pound or 37 cents a pound or 570 or 630 a pound, per unit, you're going to lose money because you will have paid the total that you're going to get back. But there's all your other costs that will eat into the money that you're going to make. So you don't want to bid that maximum value. You want to bid something less than that. Another big concern, I see this happen frequently on the auctions, is people get caught up in the auction and they just want to win. And so they pay way more than what the PC is worth. Now, maybe they're planning on fixing those PCs and reselling them as functional PCs, which would garner a lot more money if you can sell them, if you have that skill and you have buyers for those things. I'm in the scrap world, so for me, it's about scrapping, not fixing. So I always set my maximum bid based on the market conditions at the time, and I'm kind of planning ahead, anticipating where I think the market is going to go, because I know it's going to take me time to get these all scrapped. And I have to decide what I'm going to sell right away, what I'm going to hang on to. So I set a value in my mind, a maximum value per pound that I'm willing to pay, and that's what I'm bidding. And if somebody overbids, then hey, that's their problem, not mine. I'm not going to lose money on a deal just to get the PCs. I have plenty of other stuff to keep me busy until I win them. And as I believe I mentioned on the video here where I brought these PCs in, I bid on 7 lots and I won 5. That's very unusual. Normally, I bid on 7 and get none, maybe 1 at best. So this was a very unusual circumstance. I have also had some folks ask me to, yes, please do a repeat of the analysis for the different models. And it looks like I can do at least one more. I'm setting those aside now. So we will see what I can come up with there. In the meantime, there's links popping up here. One of them is going to take you back to the detailed analysis of the weighted cost average. And the other one is the video that YouTube thinks you want to see. The big round one in the middle, that's to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single awesome episode of Shark Scrapper. Have a great day, everybody.